Be careful. You might learn something.
Let's go.
You are now tuned in to the Factual Opinions Podcast with your host. I am Pharaoh. Straight facts.
What's up, world? Back again, Factual Opinions Podcast. This is season 4, episode 20. We're calling it King David's Son. This is an obvious tribute to my best friend, my father, David Lewis Brantley the first. 6 years, October 24th. I'm trying to do it without getting all emotional and stuff, but that anniversary happened this past week. Last month. Big John went through it as well with Miss Sylvia anniversary of her passing. So hug your people while you got them. Nate, is that your phone, brother?
Yeah, I think that's Nate's feedback.
My bad.
Hug your people while you got them. That's all I'm gonna say. We don't have to get overly emotional about it, but this is a tribute to the man that made me who I am. Still, even with him gone, I have no bones about admitting that I wouldn't be half the man that I am without my dad. Probably wouldn't be here talking to you right now without him. Love him, miss him every day. Throw a Big Dave story in there, random Big Dave story that revolves around sports. So, when we made the transition from instructional ball to D-ball level with the Madisonville Braves, some of us were having trouble at the beginning, I guess, from a hand-eye coordination, actually hitting the baseball with it being thrown from a pitcher versus your own, coach as they do in T-ball. And I started to lose a little bit of interest in baseball. My dad, like I said, knew me better than anybody on this planet ever has or ever will. He made an offer to me because everybody knew, and well, y'all know this, but maybe the public may not know. I still have a monstrous collection of jerseys. I was a jersey head fiend, collected jerseys, still do to this day. So my dad came up with the brilliant idea of, Al, every time you hit a home run, I'll buy you a new jersey. Well, what did he say that for? Because he always talked about how that, hurt his pockets afterwards when he made me that deal. But my dad was a man of his word. So I started cranking them home runs out, and even my teammates were getting into it, like, who you getting this week? And but we had a practice game against a team called the Cardinals, and you couldn't tell us fools back then that the game didn't count. And it was on a Sunday. So, cats ain't really want to be there. And I'm not gonna lie, the opposing pitcher did have a little heat, to him. And I think even my first at bat, he K'd me. He was sitting him down pretty good. And his mama, from the other side of the bleachers, I'll never forget this, started getting a little mouthy. Now, everybody knows Big Dave knows that, he's not necessarily a talker, but if you get him going and or pissed off, he'll turn into T.O. or Muhammad Ali on you in a heart. She's up there talking, can't nobody hit my son, and he gonna strike out all of y'all, and da-da-da-da. And Big Dave said, man, I done heard enough of this. You know what? He said, oh, I know somebody that can hit your son easily. And she said, ain't nobody on that team gonna do it. He said, he looked over, and I was actually warming up for my second at bat, and he said, Al, it's back on. Clink. Ran around the bases, got that first home run, and Big Dave, he sitting back looking at Al. And he said he can do that all damn day. Up there for third at bat. Clink. Now she want to get up and move and go to the other side. Big Dave like, oh no, don't move. Right. And my fourth at bat, I actually got a triple. Off of him. And actually the rest of the team started to warm up and started to hit some of his pitches as well. And Big Dave by that point had lost it. He like, man, look, I could probably pay about 3-4 more to do this. It's like they didn't want to be out here. This was a practice game. So don't be coming up running your mouth in Madisonville.
Right.
That was one of my
The
stories.
days,
Dave
them was the
always-
days. Them Braves days was different.
It
We
was.
was a different. We was a different breed of baseball in Madisonville at that time.
All right, we got Rod in the house, so we're gonna transition right away to two of my topics. So one of my questions, guys, and for anybody that's following or comes in to the room late, should Ryan Day and or Zac Taylor be on the hot seat? Rod says everyone knows the Bengals not firing no coach. Marvin will still be the coach at the Bengals.
That's a fact. I don't disagree with that, Rod. I don't at
Nah,
all.
they was gonna get rid of it, even
Well,
though
it was a mutual decision at that point.
Yeah. They were gonna get rid of Marvin. It was just the fact of they had him. He was consistent, but he just didn't get it done. And because he didn't get it done, he was on his way out. So it was gonna happen.
No, I agree, Rod, that he's not going anywhere. But see, that's the question. Should he and or Ryan Day both be on the hot seat here in the state of Ohio? Because if Marvin got 16 years because we hadn't been to the playoffs 15 years before he got here, this dude might have a lifetime pass because of that 2-year stretch that Joe and the defense took him on. That's how I view it.
Yeah, but if he keeps losing games and these windows keep shutting, then he's probably going to be. Hopefully, they are smart enough to let him go.
I think we need to hit the panic button, though.
You said you do think we need to hit the panic button at this point?
We do. We definitely do. And the thing is that the really thing that's really bothering me is all the movement that's going on in the NFL, especially with the Kansas City Chiefs. And we haven't made a move, and we know we're missing pieces, and we done lost a few players. We need to do something. We need to make a move.
Other teams are trying. Buffalo traded for my man
Amari Cooper.
Devontae Adams was reunited with the Jets, although I don't think there's much that could save them at this point.
No,
either right now.
No.
But teams are trying right now. Who was that to sign Dalvin Cook from the practice squad?
Dallas.
Cowboys.
Yeah, as an insurance policy, that's not quite working out for them either. And I'll get to them and Mr. Trayvon Diggs' comment, which was hilarious to me. Did everybody see that video? Because I think I said
to fight the reporter.
Yeah, I seen it. I seen it before you sent it. But yeah,
part of my French, I just thought the funny part was when he hit him with the D's nuts at the at the end of the comment. But no, man, it's getting to frustrating times for teams like the Cowboys and the Bengals, who were expected at the beginning of the season to be people that were going to be competing for championships. And I know Joe and them are saying the right thing at the podium, as I expect them, to say. But I mean, let's be honest, man. And unless they go on, and I don't even mean just a historic NFL run, an all-time professional sports run, we got a better chance of landing a top 10 draft pick than we do qualifying for the playoffs.
Right.
That's a fact. I give you that.
And maybe that's what needs to happen at this point, because I've been making the point. I don't know how we're a better football team minus T. Higgins next year, which writing's on the wall. We all know what's going to happen. There are going to be some holes to fill now. They'll get some compensatory picks from him leaving in free agency. Probably won't be any higher than some third, fourth, fifth, 6th round draft picks, but never know. Guy could turn into a TJ Houshmandzadeh. But what I'm worried about is that's the line that's going to be thrown out there. I'm not taking shots at the front office or anything, but I know they're going to try to sell you that Andre Yoshivas is a true number 2 wide receiver next year. And you better pray that Jermaine Burton locks in and gets in that playbook and starts being, a professional, because I think they were expecting a little.
You see him run that route and he killed who was that he killed?
Well, we're not doubting the talent.
he shows flashes, and you see the talent and the capability. But like you said, your biggest thing is availability. Can you get yourself on the field? Can you get in the playbook? Can you do what you need to do? Can you be a dependable receiver?
Can you stop falling asleep in meetings?
Yeah. Like I said, I don't. We know Yoshi's not a number 2. I think he's serviceable. I think he's a decent athlete, but he's not a number 2. So Burton needs to get in this playbook and do what he need to do, or they're gonna find somebody in the draft. So,
well, who was your guy that was on here a few weeks ago? Was laying into Sweet Lou, the defensive coordinator.
My big brother Milk.
William Johnson.
Yeah, I wish he was on here this evening, because see now I would give him the floor to go on and say what he needs to say about Sweet Lou. And honestly, I don't believe it's as much about him as there are legit holes in the Bengals defense right now.
There are legit holes, but also right now, like everybody in the NFL right now, it's a war of attrition. People dropping like flies. But like you said, it's been holes in the defense since the beginning of the year. But now, because we are having these problems and these holes, people are not being available, people getting hurt. It's affecting stuff. So,
well, the same concerns I had about the defense at the beginning of the season, I have now. We started off with 2 injuries to the 2 defensive tackles they drafted out of their first 3 draft picks, and McKinley Jackson and Big Chris Jenkins. And I said they were going to have to come in immediately and make an impact to make up for the loss of people like DJ Reader up front. And I see Ogunjobi still going strong in Pittsburgh, man.
Yes. He looked good last night.
Yeah, we know Jesse Bates is still a monster. I still think he's the greatest free safety in Bengals history, in my opinion. We lost a lot of people over the years. And then there are guys like, Mike Hilton. I don't know if they're not using him the same, or just maybe Father Time is finally, caught up. It could be a combination of the two. We're just not getting it done defensively, man. We fell apart in the fourth quarter. That Bengals were in that game. It was tied 17-17.
Right.
And the bottom just fell out.
Definitely was. I knew when that second half hit, it was getting ugly. It was going to get ugly.
Yeah.
And the Eagles have too many weapons. Just you're not going to contain them the whole game. So you're going to have to play ball. You're going to have to score points. You're going to have to play ball. And it was crazy because even when the Bengals did kind of take away Brown and take away Smith and also take away Saquon, then your boy Hurts turned into a monster and started making plays.
Right. Well, I mean, let's get into it. Let's circle back to the question that was originally, asked. I wish Will Johnson was on here as well right now, so he could argue for his boy. But again, should Zac be on the hot seat? Or let me say this, because this is another transition point. I watched the Cleveland Browns, the end of that game.
Yeah. Hey, man, respect my guy Jameis. Bro.
Shout out to Jameis, man. Shout out to
Jameis, man. I've still said the boy can play football, regardless of what people want to say about him. I continue to stand by that. The famous Jameis can play football. I know he can. So he's done it at every level. But the reason I bring up the end of that game is because I want to flash back to the end of game 2 weeks ago when we were up there in Cleveland. They put famous Jameis in, and he marched right down the field.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Then coming into this week, he said, obviously what he said in defense of Deshaun Watson and criticizing the, response of them cheering when, he was hurt. But obviously he was excited to have the opportunity to play again. And he said, I'm going to prove I'm still a starting quarterback in this league. Now, he went out and torched a pretty good Baltimore Ravens team that we know is going to be a contender, and then in it to the end. And the thing about Jameis that I love is the end of the game. He played nearly a perfect game until the end of the game. He lofted one up that should have been picked off and should have ended the game.
Yeah, that should have ended that one. That should have been the game right there. The one Hamilton drop, or was that Humphrey?
No, that was Hamilton. So he was on the ground, and he knew he lost a chance to end this game. But in true Jameis Winston fashion, he turned right around the very next play and threw a dart to win that game. But more importantly than that, you know who the offensive coordinator was for the Cleveland Browns that day that was actually calling the plays?
Cool.
It was Big John's boy, former national champion quarterback Ken Dorsey from the U. Kevin Stefanski stepped back, lowered his pride, and gave up play calling duties for the betterment of his team.
Right.
Boy, I'd like to see another head coach.
Man, yeah, boy, I'm telling you.
I just really think in the best interest of the Bengals going forward, just give it a try. Because right now what you're doing isn't working. I've made the argument over the years that I felt like Joe was the real offensive coordinator, to a degree, and audibling and making, plays and whatnot. But I'm just saying if Zac has vehemently been against even the idea or thought of him giving up play calling duties. And like I said, Will's not here today to have this discussion. We went into why, and I showed Zac's, background and, his coaching experience and exactly what he's done. And the one full year that he had of play calling prior to being Bengals head coach was one of the most disastrous in University of Cincinnati history. They went 4-8 when he was the offensive coordinator there, posted multiple games where they didn't even score a touchdown. So, I'm not necessarily trying to do the rain on Zac, parade thing. I mean, everybody knows my opinion, since he's been, hired. But what all I'm saying at this point is, as a head coach, your job is to, when things aren't going well, to find other solutions to get the football team back on track and to come up with different ideas. And right now, the idea that I think should be thrown out there is for him to possibly give up play calling duties right now.
I agree due to the fact that he calls repetitive plays, and he's calling plays that have been seen by multiple coaches on the other side. So that's what really throws me off about him.
Well, my main issue, even with that, and I'll get you, Big John, is it's not even necessarily that. No, I don't like the actual play call sometimes that come in from Zac, but it's the other things that I wish people like Will and others would focus in on. It's the decision-making in crucial times. He asked us in group chat, when's the last clutch play that Joe Burrow made? Well, I would say, when's the last clutch call or call that that Zac Taylor made that influenced or won a game of any magnitude as of late over the past couple years? Because that decision to go for it on fourth down, one, I'm not totally against it. Would I have done it in that situation? No. And let me throw in one more bone before I get to Big John. I know exactly why Zac Taylor did it, because the time at that point during the game, the Eagles were hot. Everybody could feel it and see it, right? You could see them coming on. So his thought process was, if I don't match this score that they just did, it's going to potentially get out of hand. So I need to go for it on this fourth down. So even if you had that thought process, I'm not even against that necessarily. But even Uno said the play call, man, it's one of the oldest adages in football. I don't believe on third or fourth down running patterns short of the yard to gain. That's just me. You're throwing the ball backwards, and we have
stupidity. That's dumb. That's stupidity. I'm sorry.
And you only need 1 yard. You only need 1 yard. It's not like you needed 5 or 6 or 7. Like if it's something more, I will understand. But if it's 1, 2, or 3, and all you need is 2 or 3 yards,
it was 1 yard.
But I'm just saying. I'm agreeing with you, Nate. I'm saying, like, if it was anything more than 3, whatever. But it's not. It was literally 1 yard. You can walk. What he say? Go to the truck and turn. That's all you got to do. Playing backyard football, bro. Go to the Buick and turn around. That's it. Like that's all you had to do.
That's
Like
the whole point. Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time.
Right.
This new age coaching. There are certain elements of the game that have changed, but other ones, like I said, why are you running a pattern or a play that does not at least take you to the yard to gain?
Right.
You threw the ball backwards behind the line of scrimmage, and on top of it, they were ready for it.
Right. Right.
Now, if they sniff it out, that's one thing, but you're going to sniff it out at the first down marker for me.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And like I said, you play, you sit,
they knew that play. They seen that formation. They knew what play was getting ran.
I mean, if you do your homework in your scouting report, you know what they do and what they want to do. Especially if they continuously send and chase on, in motion, and all you need is 1 yard. A smart football player is okay. Well, let me focus on the best player they have. It's going to him. He's moving around. That's just football. Like that's just playing football. Like, and Cooper DeJean made a hell of a play. He watched him. He's like, oh, he's getting the ball, and he stood there. Car crash.
Yeah,
he knew it was coming.
It's the decision making and when to go for things, and when you do, like I said, the play call that you choose. That I have probably my most issue with him, because that goes back to the experience and the acumen that I'd argue.
But going back to what you said, man, he should be on a hot seat for that reason. We're down players. Players are on the way out. So as a coordinator, you're going to have to manage the game well. You're going to have to be creative in your play calling. You're going to have to make the right decisions, because you don't have the Jimmies and the Joes to make up for your deficiencies. So you're going to have to be a better coordinator. Like, that's just what it is. You can't say, oh, okay, I got Jamar Chase, I got Joe Burrow. All right, we're going to go win the game. Okay, that's cool. But you also missing players. You didn't have Higgins. You didn't have a lot of the guys that you need. The running game ain't really been there.
There he is.
So, yeah. So, like, you got to be a better coordinator. You can't just come out there and think, all right, man, go win the game for me. Nah.
Well, it becomes an issue, obviously, when you're not winning games, even more so things get highlighted. You can argue to what degree, he deserves blame, the players, so forth. And it's not, like you said, the same team that we've trotted out there, in previous years. That's another thing. So the Bengals are going to have holes. They're going to have to make even more crunch decisions as far as who to bring back, who to let go. But the coaching staff should not be immune to those changes either. When you're looking to evaluate what's going on, I think that Duke Tobin has had a couple drafts that have been a little bit questionable. Maybe we should have gave Marvin Lewis a little bit more credit for some of those players that he selected, alongside Duke Tobin. But they're going to have to start hitting on their draft picks. It's not going to be, and, I don't like singling guys out on here, so I'm still going to try not to. But, if you draft a first-round defensive end, everybody's talking about Trey Hendrickson right now and how he's wearing down because he's literally the only pass rush that we have, right now. Well, that's true, but you made a decision to draft a young man a couple years ago in the first round that was a little questionable to me because, on the tape that I had watched, he kind of had one move that he used even in college. He didn't have a lot of bend to him. John knows what I'm talking about, with defense ends. It's almost like you playing limbo coming around that edge, but a lot of bend to him. And it was just, a one-arm swim move that I saw being used a lot. And I'm like, that's not going to get it done in the NFL. He's going to have to definitely develop. Now, I mean, it's just year 2, so you can't necessarily say that it's not going to work out. I'm speaking of, Bengals defense end, Miles Murphy, but, you're going to have to start hitting on guys like that. You can't have guys that come in and have a redshirt year or get hurt and, aren't able to play. I'm not going to go into the amount of draft picks that have come from a certain school, as of late that, just honestly have not panned out regardless of who you root for or not. They just have not panned out. Now you can get into the reasons why, but let's see what we'll say. So it's also more of the organization and not just the coach. So, I mean, that's very true. But you know what the Bengals' tendencies are in some of these situations. Every now and then, you might get a mid-season trade that probably none of us knew, much about or were high on when they brought BJ Hill in, a few years ago that actually worked. But you have to try and make those trades. Before that, I think, what was it, Cordy Glenn that they brought in from Buffalo, the offensive lineman, and he basically made it clear he didn't want to be here. So that didn't work out. But Bengals notoriously around the trade deadline don't do much. We know that. Hey, Weez, my boy. You said when are the Bengals going to make a move? Everyone is getting better but us. That's the frustrating part, man, because I remember a few years ago when Zach first came in and they were talking about possibly getting rid of guys like Geno or Carlos Dunlap or Andy Dalton. Even at the time had a few suitors that were after him, and you could have got some capital or some draft picks or something. And it wasn't just that the Bengals didn't, make a move. The Brown family, who y'all know I love and I protect on this program, and I'm not piling on when I say this, it's just the truth. They were out of the country in Switzerland on a family trip during the trade deadline. So they had no intention of trying to entertain a trade or even really listening.
I mean, but historically, when have they ever really, did that in free agency or
my man, John.
trade or trade issues? Like a lot of times, we will get guys free agency that may be a little bit past their prime sometimes, but for the most part, that's about it. Like they historically, they really don't do big trades. They really don't do big free agent acquisitions. They, they draft, they play their players through the draft. If you, like I said, if you are a free agent and they do get you, it's like, you probably can still play, but you're probably on your way out. It's never the perfect situation. Like I said, BJ Hill was a good pickup. A lot of other cats were a good pickup, but that's rare. That's not that's not a reoccurrence.
So was Mike Hilton.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, because we know that's usually not going to be something that they do. I remember when they gave up all those picks to trade up to be number one in the draft, and we drafted Kajana Carter. Now, Kajana Carter, I still think to this day would have been a great player had he not, we all know what happened. But I think in certain instances that's made the Bengals hesitant to do that. I remember when they came up and who was the defensive end that they got from the Tennessee Titans that was on his way up? Was it Antoine? He was on his way up. He was trending up.
I know you're talking about.
And he blew out his Achilles. This was like 08, 09.
Yeah, I think I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm having a brain for it right now.
Yeah. And
I can't think of his name.
It kind of shook them. If anything, they like to give money to their own free agents, which, we see that in certain instances because we get ready to let T go, and that still bothers me. But no, I'm with you, Weez. I wish we would make that splash. And to be honest, it pisses me off even more because this is what Carson talked about when everybody was mad that Carson Palmer had those disparaging remarks to say about us. And he was saying, yeah, but they're never going to make that extra move to get him over the hump. And that's what he felt here. And that's why he was frustrated. And then when stuff like this happens, you kind of have to look back and say, he wasn't lying.
Mm-hmm.
We said we should have made a move for Max Crosby. I don't care if we got to trade. T defense wins championships. It would have been nice because we're definitely missing that extra pass rush right now on defense. That more so than anything. I also think the back end is not playing that well this year either. But I had concerns about the defensive backfield when the season started. Actually, before the season started, I thought bringing Von Bell back was cool, but you were still dependent on Geno Stone to come in and do a great job. and corners outside of Cam Taylor-Britt was a big question mark, and it still is. And we got my homie in here, Big Ronnie Dumpster Juice. He Big Ronnie just happened
Here we
because
go.
his Eagles got the victory. His former team that he most identifies with, the Philadelphia Eagles. Will said, "Man, trade Chase Young to the 5th round in New Orleans." It wouldn't be
don't sound bad.
I mean, it really wouldn't at this point, because whatever he gives you is going to be a little bit better than what we have right now.
For sure.
That's another young man that I wish hadn't had the knee injuries that he had, because he was set to be a monster. But I would love to see that. I would love to see, like we said, should have went for Max Crosby. Asking price probably would have been a little bit more for him than the Bengals were willing to give, but certainly, and of course, I knew Will would bring this up. Burrow has to go upstairs. The man they make woo. He has the power, and he has to use it. Okay. Carson tried to go upstairs too.
Yeah.
He definitely did.
But to his defense, Carson didn't make it to a Super Bowl. So if you want to give away your quarterback that made it to 2 straight AFC championships, then go ahead and be stupid. I like that. Now, Will made a point. Like, no, you're not wrong. I agree with you. Like I said, Carson went upstairs because Carson was just putting up numbers and he wanted to win. Joe Burrow actually has, a couple legs to stand on. Now, if you want to be stupid after years of not having a quarterback, after years of, and I don't dislike Andy Dalton, but having average play with Andy Dalton, go ahead and get rid of Joe Burrow if you want to.
Everybody knows Joe was the only person, just like Carson was at that time, not even Ocho or Big Willie, the rest of them, that can go upstairs at any point in time and have that conversation with Katie and Mr. Brown. Now, again, how effective is that going to be? Does it ultimately make him do anything? You know what I would want to see more so for Joe that Wheels also talked about before is this offseason. I want Joe to go upstairs before he leaves for, the winter and tell them I'm willing to restructure and do whatever I need to do to keep T. Higgins here.
Yeah.
Because, yes, we have holes on defense, and we know that has to take place.
That's a prayer. That's a long shot in the prayer.
It is, but again, you're just not going to sell me on this team being better without T. Higgins. I'm sorry.
But that's the thing, man. When you have the mindset that they have, like even the whole Joe Mixon thing. Right now, Joe Mixon is killing.
Ooh-wee.
So before you go in, Joe Mixon is killing with Houston, and you thought you can take Chase Brown and Moss and make him into Joe Mixon. That's not happening. So all the receivers that come out every year in the draft, they automatically assume they're gonna find another T. Higgins. But what Jay-Z said, you made a hole, make another hole. You're not gonna get another T. Higgins, and if you do, hopefully you get something better. Maybe you get pleasantly surprised, but it's still a gamble. You're not gonna get those players. Just don't grow on trees.
They don't. And since you just brought it up, because I didn't want to necessarily save it to the end of the episode, you brought up Jay-Z. Just slightly go away from our current topic. I want to give a rest in power to DJ Clark Kent, who recently passed. In the hip hop game. I know we don't talk about music as much as we used to on here. Also seems like there's just not enough going on in the music world to talk about. And I'm speaking specifically music, not the drama and everything else. But DJ Clark Kent is one of the most underrated figures in hip hop, especially going back to the 90s and early 2000s and so forth. Put it like this. He did a lot of work with the Notorious B.I.G. He was one of his favorite DJs to work with. He did a lot of work on the Life After Death album, Big's second album, and Big had already talked to him about doing work on his third album when he was to get back from California. He wanted to go right back in the studio and start working, and a lot of that was going to be done with DJ Clark Kent. Also, DJ Clark Kent was one of the first people to vehemently, and I'm talking about before even Reasonable Doubt dropped, was one of the first people to champion Jay-Z. In fact, at one point referred to him as the Jesus Christ of rap. And he was saying this before Jay even dropped his first album. So he was one of the believers in Jay-Z before Hole blew up. So worked on a lot of other projects and so forth. So I do want to give a shout out and a rest in power to DJ Clark Kent and his family. He had children, so forth. I don't even know the circumstances around, the passing, but I know he was still a relatively young man, so to speak. So
he was sick. He was fighting a cancer. I can't remember which one.
Okay. Yeah, because it came out of nowhere, at least for the public. But shout out to DJ Clark Kent. You wouldn't have songs like Sky's the Limit and a few other ones that became cult classics without that man. So again, my condolences, brothers, on the hip hop front. So getting back, we said Burrow is good enough to win with mediocre receivers, and we got to establish run game, play defense. Absolutely hate the Zach Moss move. It was mass other running backs available when we got him. You know what's funny about this comment? Especially coming from He's a brother who I respect and know personally the football knowledge that he possesses. I've mentioned to him, and he knows this. We talked in private. He's one of the only gentlemen that can get me to come out of retirement from coaching and put on that whistle again. Is when Weeds gets his first head coaching job, I will be there as the defensive back coach, as long as it makes sense, and it ain't in the North Pole where he get his first job. Head coaching job at. But I distinctly remember telling Weeds that Mixon was not done and that he was still a great player. And Weeds was one of them that was kind of nudging him out the door or wanted to see P. Ryan get more handoffs and so forth. So it's funny that Weeds would say that now. But no, Zach Moss has no explosion. I would argue that Rudy Johnson had more,
He did. Ain't no argue. He did.
Ain't no argument about that. He did.
More wiggle to him than Zach Moss.
Go look at the tape. He did.
Chase Brown is explosive, but if it's not on one of those quick hitter handoffs or whatever, he's still not a feature back,
I don't care if he should be the feature back right now, period. Anyway.
Oh, right. On this team, yes. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah, we can't compare them to
that's not who you would make your workhorse running back. I think Chase Brown is a great complementary piece when you've already got, a feature back. I think he could be a great 1-2 or change of pace,
So you're calling Zach Moss a feature back?
No, I'm saying that's what the Bengals signed him to be this year, and unfortunately have to use him as, is what I'm saying.
We don't. We can minimize using him.
He's the feature back because that's what they got him to do, but he's really not. Brown has been getting majority of the carries these past couple games anyway.
For sure.
See, at no point in time has Zach Moss in the pro game been the feature back. He's always had another back that he was paired with, most notably in Indianapolis, when he was paired with Zac Taylor. Jonathan Taylor. You see, I still got coach on my mind. That's when he looked better than he really, was. But no, I agree. You need a run game to keep defenses honest now. You can't have Joe dropping back, throwing the ball 60, 70 times, a game. They're keying in on him. It's hard on the offensive lineman to do that. And, of course, defense wins championships. So, I always think that's where the thought process should be. But, the game has changed so much with this basketball on grass mentality and rule changes, even to help that. That's kind of why you get what you get now.
Yep. For sure.
What up, Kurt? Bengals tend to bargain shop and it shows up at the worst times. Yeah, they always are looking for that diamond in the rough, and we got over on you, or Vontaze Burfict, undrafted rookie free agent. That's their type move that they love to hit on and take a chance on. The problem is, like you said, how often does that really work?
Yeah, and even with the whole Burfict situation, Burfict could play in college. He just off the field stuff messed him up.
We know why he went undrafted, but I'm saying it's still a bargain at that point because you got him undrafted.
Right. So he wasn't just twiddling his thumbs down at ASU. He was making plays and balling. He just was, had other things going on.
They've kind of tried to stay away from those guys because for a while we were getting those, Burficts, those Chris Henrys. I saw a guy with an Odell Thurman.
He's getting a lot of them.
The other day.
Hey, man! Sometimes you need them. The land of the misfit toys. You need them.
Well,
it was a year. What was it, like 3 years? We went. We got Pac-Man. We got Burfict. Who else we get?
Hey, man,
some butt whoopers. Put it mildly, as Coach Dickey would say. It's still football. You can't have all choir boys out there. So
you definitely can't.
Yeah, the bargain shopping thing bothers me now more so than ever because I'm still not going to call the Bengals necessarily cheap, but at least not like they were in the 90s and early 2000s. But the whole bargain shopping thing, when we got naming rights to the stadium, you've generated more merchandise and ticket sales the past few years than you probably had the previous 15. The revenue has to be there for you to do something, man. We said some dollars. Yeah, I mean you had to have a few of them on your team. We talked about that when we were at Purcell. We had some athletes and a few guys that were definite in our Division I prospects, but we was always missing that Ray or Lil Pookie or that nut job, that Maurice Claret, that Sean Taylor that puts you over the top. Why you laughing?
Because I'm not disagreeing with you. You need them. Like, first of all, my favorite school had a lot of them. So I look.
Yeah. Y'all have felonies on y'all.
I'm not immune to it. Like,
Yeah, they had Dade County's finest back in the day. So
you need them sometimes. Yeah, you're gonna need your Ken Dorseys and your Dan Morgans and your Greg Olsons, but you also gonna need some other ones. So,
and I heard Big Greg on that rap song.
Oh, I ain't gonna pause. I ain't gonna say his rap name. That's
man. Don't say the rap.
Fourth floor, so he wasn't squeaky clean either.
Oh no,
he wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't. He was.
First of all, what Dave Chappelle say about having that one white friend? First of all, for Dan Morgan to win all those defensive player of the years in college and butt kiss award winners on a defense full of Dade County black men, I want to know what Dan Morgan did.
And Jeremy Shockey on offense.
Like, because Dan Morgan wasn't around, the W.E.B. Du Bois talented 10th brothers. He wasn't around them. I can't say what he was around, but you know what he was around.
Yeah.
So
I want to say it, but
so for Dan Morgan to be the middle linebacker amongst all that chaos and still produce, and if it wasn't for him having those, concussions in the league, he went to a Super Bowl his second year.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for that, he'd probably still be producing.
So before we get away from the Bengals talk, because we got definitely a few other things to get to, try to keep it, within an hour and a half this episode. I mean, let's just be real, throw it out there. Is it over this year?
Yeah. Yeah. With the way the Steelers are playing right now, yeah. And we know the Ravens are probably, if they don't surpass the Steelers, they're going to be right there with them. This ain't one of the years where the AFC North gets 3 teams in, because right now Cleveland and the Bengals ain't there right now.
Ain't there, no.
And everybody else in the AFC is in a dogfight with Houston, the Chiefs, and a couple other teams. Nah, it's done.
The team we ate from Allegheny County in Pennsylvania.
Hold on. I'm not go ask them yet. I'm thinking about the schedule. We got Oakland.
Vegas.
Oh, Vegas, my bad. We got Vegas. We got Cleveland again. We got Baltimore again. We got Pittsburgh 2 times. And we play somebody else in between there. I'm missing.
But like Al said, like, yeah, they can go on a run, but if you're not going to make the playoffs or do any damage in the playoffs, what's the point of messing up your draft stock?
But this is the thing. How do you know we won't do damage in the playoffs? I know our defense is. I know we all agree our defense is
Holes in
top
the
tier.
Holes in the defense.
That's true.
Injuries, no running game. That kind of kills your.
I'm not gonna say we don't have a run game. I just feel like we just need to use Chase Brown more, in my opinion. It's just my opinion.
In my opinion, we don't have a running game. And all you had to do is watch the Houston Texans highlights this year and see what a running game.
Like I said, we don't. And it's it's not like they don't have somebody to hand the ball off to. Yeah, we got enough to keep a defense honest, but we don't have enough to actually do damage in the playoffs where you're going to play against the best defenses. You're going to have to run the ball. You're going to have to keep certain quarterbacks off the field. They don't have enough.
Or like when we went to Buffalo and Joe Mixon single-handedly closed that game out in the snow against the Bills. You know, you're going to have performances like that. And there might be a game where Joe, needs to lean on the running game, consistently having to depend on him to make magic every single play is what ends up having him hurt at the end of the year.
Because you know who has that now? The Ravens.
Yeah, they do.
They have that now.
Yeah.
But you know what? I was thinking about what Nate was saying. The games that we came up short. I mean, we played Kansas City when they were full strength.
They was biting their nails at the end of that game.
They were full strength though. They had Rashee Rice. They had Pacheco. At that point, and they're still undefeated now. Even without them. But we played them at full strength. Now, granted, we always give them a game and match up well against them. But I mean, we came up short against the Ravens too, and obviously should have won that game too.
Yeah, but like you said, at that point in time, everybody was full strength. Towards the end of the football season, the war of attrition plays a part, like I said. So yeah, you're gonna come out there and play the Kansas City Chiefs hard, like you always do, because that's a quote unquote kind of rivalry game now. Same with the Ravens. You're gonna come out and play the Ravens hard, but do you have enough dogs in the race to keep fighting? Right now, too many people are dropping. Now there's injuries on both sides, and the Chiefs are feeling the burn too. But the Chiefs also have Andy Reid to make up for a lot of those deficiencies. We don't have an Andy Reid.
We don't.
We don't have an Andy Reid.
Speaking of superior coaching, which the other teams in the division, in my opinion, have, because honestly, I still like Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland. I don't think he's a bad coach, but are the Pittsburgh Steelers better with Russell Wilson at quarterback?
Yes.
Yeah.
They look like it.
They look like it. But one thing I'm going to say this before you go into your spiel, they are. And because it's about what they wanted to do as a football team. I'm guessing a lot of those explosive plays they weren't getting with Fields. They're getting with Russ because Russ, a little bit more experience, put the ball where it needs to go, blah, blah, blah.
This is the biggest thing I'm going to say about that. His receivers trust him. They didn't have the trust that they have with Justin Fields. There's a different trust level.
I mean, they still
still 4-2 though.
They still
his record was still 4-2.
Yeah, that's we're ignoring the record. Let's ignore the record. The thing is, what I see now with this team with Russell versus Fields, the receivers work harder to get open. I don't know if y'all can look back. If you look back, I don't watch like almost damn near all Pittsburgh games. I don't know why. Maybe it's because everything's televised with them. But every game I've watched, when it was Justin Fields, them receivers weren't hurt. George Pickens was not working hard to get open.
Okay, maybe I could put this in a basketball analogy so you can understand. Okay, think about having a Chris
You're absolutely correct.
Look at me.
You absolutely correct, bro. The
reason I'm asking to tie it back in is because we're talking about the Bengals remaining schedule and do they have the ability to make a run, make the playoffs, make any noise when we get there. So I was looking to say, hey,
we have to prove that we can stop the run.
Are they a better team with Russell Wilson, at the helm?
They are. But like I said, having a distributor or having a Chris Paul versus having a very athletic point guard who scores a lot, but is he going to get everybody involved like Russell Wilson is getting everybody involved? Which one do you want? You want a scoring point guard, or you want a floor general? Which one you want?
I'm never one to say it's over, whether it's a team I played on, root for, coach for, or whatever. But it's pretty damn daunting right now.
I don't like Pittsburgh being good, so I don't care. I don't like them looking.
You ain't gotta like it, but it is what it is.
Big John, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear
that. But even going back to the Chiefs, like I said, they have an Andy Reid. Okay, if you say we got Joe Burrow, they got Patrick Mahomes, they also got Chris Johnson, defensive player of the year candidate every year on the other side of the ball. The Bengals don't. What he say on our Harlem Nights? He said, "I know you a bad, but you got one gun. They got several guns. We got one gun. What we gonna do? Like you can't like it. You gotta. It's an arms race at this point. So you can't. It is what it is. It's an arms race."
Meech, we already been through that, brother. I feel you and I agree. But Zach got if Marvin got 16, Zach got a lifetime pass right now for making it to the bowl. So
right now, TJ Watt playing out of his mind. Hey, they still, like you said, Ogunjobi still playing. Hayward is still balling at his age. You got the young man.
They say this is his 200 start.
Yeah,
that's a great transition point because now I do agree with Meech. We're spending way too much time on the team from Allegheny County. So
I'm just saying against the Bengals, it don't look good.
I understand, but we are spending too much time on them. I hate talking about them. If it ain't matter of fact, Mike.
It is a sad reality.
But shout out to Cam Hayward, who you just mentioned. I do believe he is the last Jim Tressel Buckeye in the NFL, still playing and still making plays at his age. But no, it's an uphill battle at the least. We'll leave it at that. Obviously we know what needs to take place, what we wish took place during the trade deadline. I still feel like the Bengals are going to have to be aggressive during free agency more so than we have been, because the days of purely building your team and competing for a Super Bowl through the draft are done. It goes back to what Carson said when he left when we didn't like it. Are they going to make that extra move to get them over the hump? Yeah, you'll bring back your stars. Uno's going to get his money probably this offseason. But T. Higgins, the rest of the guys, are we re-signing Trey Hendrickson? Getting some help for the back end with the defensive backs, that clearly need help now. Cam Taylor-Britt is your only starting corner that you got on this team, by the way, in my opinion. So, yeah, those are issues that have to be figured out. Before we get to the other points that I wanted to touch on, I asked if Zac Taylor should be on the hot seat. The majority of people said, yeah, even though we know he's probably not and won't be. The question from my state university, should Ryan Day be on the hot seat in Columbus?
We got to wait till that Michigan game.
Ain't no waiting till that.
It's not even about the Michigan game no more. In my opinion, no, he shouldn't, but he's gonna be anyway.
I've historically came on here and been a Ryan Day supporter and defender, and I still am. I still don't think that unrealistic Buckeye Nation realizes that he's easily one of the top 4 or 5 best college coaches in America, period, point blank. But let's just throw this out here. So huge game, this Saturday in Happy Valley against number 3 undefeated Penn State. 115,000 screaming folks. Place that's never easy to play in, especially when they're good like they are now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say that Ryan Day drops this one. Does that change your answer on this one?
Yeah. Because it's just his record in big games. He wins the games he's supposed to win, but those big games he seems to fall short. So yeah, he's gonna be on the hot seat. Now, is it the drop the axe execution? Probably not. I don't feel like that, but he's gonna be in the hot seat if they drop the Penn State.
If he drops this one on Saturday, there's gonna be an issue. And
there's gonna be a problem.
And then it goes to what Nate said, because also at this point you can't overlook undefeated Indiana either right now, who has given Ohio State some tough games over the past 10 years, and now they're good.
All right.
You know, but ultimately we know it's going to come down to that last Saturday in November. That one I can almost guarantee you this year will make or break Ryan Day's job.
First of all, if he give it up to them and they done lost 3 games already, I'm not saying that they're not gonna get up for Ohio State, because they are. But come on, dog. If you give up that, yeah, you probably need to just go ahead and pack your bags, get your little resignation letter, and do what you need to do.
Nah, this ain't Florida State, Miami. Records don't matter in that game.
I get it.
That comment.
But the records don't matter. But I'm just talking about you are what your record says you are now. Michigan ain't what they were.
They won't play like that on that last Saturday in November. I can guarantee you that.
Well, they need to start playing like that now because they look bad. So I don't know what else to say.
Me said, I say no just because the transfer portal Buckeyes benefited so long from holding on to talent. Developer now is play me or I'm gone. Well, it's gonna be like that at most elite programs now. Depending on the position of the players, you know, you can get multiple D linemen out there at the same time. You can get DBs. You can obviously get receivers out there at the same time. I'll tell you the place where it hurts the most. I mean, even running backs, if you get a rotation, is the quarterback position, particularly in college. Now, that has become college free agency with quarterbacks, like, because there's only one of them that can play at any given time.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so that one quarterback for UNLV, he quit because of NIL money.
And my thing is, and then they left and they were still winning without him. So obviously it wasn't you, big dog.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, what you said makes sense, man. It's gonna be crazy with this transfer portal. You know, some teams win the lottery, like we got Cam Ward that helped, or you get DJ. I don't even want to try to pronounce his last name. Florida State got him and it didn't work out too well. Yeah, man, it's gonna happen.
Well, you know, I've made a joke about the situation because Will Howard, who a lot of Buckeye fans have been down on, I only saw Will Howard really make one mistake this year, and I'm not even talking about sliding at the end of the game. I kind of blame Ryan Day for the mismanagement of that when you had one
I'm with
time.
you on that
one. When he dropped that snap, when the Buckeyes were driving to potentially get that separation from Oregon and go up 2 scores, and he botched that snap, I kind of knew they were going to be in trouble at that point. But he grew up wanting to play for Penn State, so he's talking about this is personal, and they acted like I wasn't good enough. So we'll see on Saturday. My message to Will Howard at this point is just shut up, man, because as talented as y'all are, you're not playing up to capability. Your left tackle is out, and that's becoming a huge problem for the Buckeyes. That's where my concern is most, because not only was the backup not playing well, but now he's hurt. And out of everything that Ryan Day has and the plethora of skill positioning them pretty boys on the outside, that's been the one thing that he's been lacking, if I had any criticism, because I know Coach Tressel would have had him a backup offensive lineman that would at least been able to get a stalemate.
Yeah, he would have.
Yeah. And I don't see that right now in Columbus. So that's my main concern is the offensive line.
Right.
Me said, but the penalty masterpiece by Oregon can't be overlooked. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that intentional 12-man on field. Ryan Day has come up short on a couple of those. I remember when we were trying to get off that fake punt that would have sealed the game against Georgia, and Kirby Smart caught him and caught a timeout on that. I made a comment about that, Mies. That's a good thing to bring up earlier this week. The bottom line is Ryan Day, kind of like Big John said, he just has to get it done in these scenarios. These are games, and some of these that they came up short in against top tier opponents that Urban Meyer, Jim Tressel would have found a way to win, or that one make or break play. And yeah, he's had some bad luck go his way. Obviously, if that field goal does not get botched against Georgia, we might be having a completely different conversation, right now, more than likely. But as Big Dave would say, if a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump his ass when he jumped. So, or if ifs was fifths, we'd all be drunk. So at the end of the day, he just has to find a way to get it done in those crucial situations. If they can find a way to get this left tackle thing taken care of, I still think they'll be all right. I really do, because there's just too much talent out there. But yeah, in my opinion, right now, Coach Day should be on the hot seat finally because of some of these shortcomings. But he's still easily one of the best coaches in America. So I want to ask you something, and feel free, anybody that's following along right now, to pitch in. Question your athletes that you followed coming up that made you either want to play a specific sport or watch a specific sport. Nate, Big John, when I ask y'all this, I need you to run these off pretty quickly so we can get these also into a teaser clip. But I'm going to ask you specific sports, and I want you to just name me the guy or girl that inspired you to either want to play or watch this game when I name a specific sport. So we'll start with Big John. NFL player that made you want to watch or play football.
Well, I'm gonna make it easy. I'm gonna say John Randall was probably, if I can't use the answer I want to use, but John Randall will probably be the guy I would say.
Okay, college football.
College football, wow, that's a whole bunch. College football, damn, that's a tough one. I'm gonna say Peter Ward.
Nice. NBA.
Shaq.
You better say Shaq.
Nah, it's that was.
I could think of another person that Big John might have said, but
it's a whole couple. It's a lot of people I could say, but I say Shaq, man, for what he was. Like, first of all, greatest player he was.
Dominant, big guy.
Marketable, was in movies, was a rapper. Like, he's one of them people that lived 1,000 lives.
Shaq is one of those. He's another Master P type of person.
Yeah, like he's one of them
Dos Equis guys.
Yeah, he just and the fact that the boy, he's 7'1", 300 something pounds, can jump. Like, it's unfair.
All right. So college basketball.
College basketball. I'm gonna say Kenyon Martin.
Okay. Boxing.
Even though I wasn't around when he was around, the champ, Ali.
Okay. Women's college basketball.
Maya Moore.
WNBA.
Wow. And it's crazy, man. We were the generation that actually got to see the start of the WNBA. So I'm gonna say Lisa Leslie.
Okay. Stole my answer, but I like that, Lisa Leslie. Is there another sport that I left off that I want to ask?
Tennis.
MLB.
Baseball. Well, I can't use the answer I want to use, but Frank Thomas.
I mean, you can use it. I just didn't want you to say that one statement.
I mean, but it is what it is. Like, if it wasn't, I'm not gonna say it. If it wasn't that guy, it would probably be Frank Thomas.
Satterfield was the man. Kenny, shout out to Kenny, man. He was the man. Meech.
Yeah. So baseball would be Frank Thomas, and even if I don't use John Randall for football, it'll probably be Emmitt Smith. But
I thought Meech was talking about coach at UC right now for football.
Oh, Hoffa.
Oh, he probably is. My bad. I'm thinking he's talking about Kenny. My bad.
He's not. He's doing a serviceable job. He has them competitive. Like I said, they 5-3 right now.
They fighting.
That's a better start than what they had last year.
I think they win. If they win Saturday, they both eligible.
Yeah.
All they gotta do is
get 6 wins. But yeah, like they're competitive.
For Factual Opinions fans, though, I will reach out to my guy, the Satterfield, and hopefully, knock on wood, we should have him on here before the end of the year or early next year. So I usually don't like throwing them surprises out there, but that might be one that I feel comfortable.
Any other sport we missing, good brother?
Did you say tennis?
I didn't say tennis. Nope. Did you have one for NHL?
For hockey? And it's crazy. I used to follow hockey when I was a kid, man, especially getting the video games. Brett Hull, they used to play for the Dallas Stars.
No, he played for the St. Louis Blues.
He played for the Dallas. He played for them too, but he played for the Dallas Stars.
Okay, so I'm gonna try and fire it off maybe a little bit quicker than Big John did. So y'all help me keep track in case I miss any. For NFL,
I got you. We'll go down the list.
Okay.
NFL,
Deion Sanders.
College football,
Eddie George.
college basketball,
Danny Forson.
NBA,
John Starks.
college women's college basketball.
Shamika Holsclaw.
Damn, you took mine.
That's a good one.
Women's NBA.
Since John already said Lisa Leslie, I'll go with Cheryl Swoops.
Okay. Boxing.
We can't use Ali because that's cheat code.
No, that's cheat code.
Well, that's the one I use because
you already used it. I meant to say like.
I mean, obviously, but for me, I would say Iron Mike, but y'all know who my guy is. Roy Jones Jr.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna throw tennis out there. Who you think about tennis? Who's the first name that comes to you?
Serena.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, on the women's side, but if you sit on the men's side, it'd probably be for me Roger Federer.
Okay.
Well, I didn't answer that, but it'd probably be Pete, good old Pete Sampras. But yeah,
you got Pete Sampras.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we
baseball and hockey.
Baseball.
Hockey. He said baseball. I said baseball.
You didn't ask me baseball.
Oh, baseball. My bad. I thought I said baseball.
The captain, Barry Larkin.
And hockey.
Sid the Kid.
Okay.
So that's my whole lineup basically. So Nate, NFL.
Barry Sanders.
I could have said Randall Cunningham too, but
yeah.
College football.
He already said Peter Ward. I'm gonna say Prime.
Okay. College basketball.
Only person that's gonna understand this is Triggs, but it's Alan Ray.
NBA.
Meech already took my answer. I was going with Sean Kemp. The Rain Man.
The Rain Man. Make your knees weak with them dunks.
Man.
Baseball.
The Big Unit.
Yeah. Oh, he can say it. I can't say it.
Pause.
He can say it. They go to bed.
Oh man, y'all immature.
And that's only because I was a left-handed. I was left-handed, and I was a pitcher as well.
Right.
Okay. Tennis.
Andre Agassi.
That's a good one.
Golf.
Tiger Woods. I'm sorry.
See, that's the only reason I didn't ask it because I knew we all had the same.
Everybody, what you want me to say? BJ Singh? No. No, that ain't it.
John Daly, man. Drinking beers out there.
I ain't going with the Arnold Palmer alert either.
But the crazy part about it is, man, like going back, if I could, mine still stays Kenya Martin, but if I had a second choice, it'd be Melo.
Yeah, Kenya was my number 2.
It'd be Melo. Melo probably if I can't.
The only reason I said the name with college basketball, I said Alan Ray for a reason, is because me and Triggs went to the UC game where they played against Villanova, where they had that 3-head monster Alan Ray, Randy Foyle, and Kyle Lowry, and he ran amok on UC that day. And I just remembered that game. I'm like, bro, that's the most memorable game I've seen ever.
There's no way I could say the Fab Five and have Brother T. Nelson back on here. So,
Yeah, never. Never. He said something. Oh, I meant to tell you, he said something about that when we was at tailgate. He said, tell that Al motherfucker, don't mention them when it comes to us.
Right.
So
they were cultural, man. It's bigger than the game.
he said, yeah. He said they changed culture, but he said, nah, you can't do that. He
No,
said you specifically, you can't do that.
I know. I talk shit to T all the time. But the only reason I didn't say Kmart, because I mean, obviously, the majority of us here in Cincinnati would probably say that, is because my love for UC and paying them attention started before Kmart was even there.
For sure.
And Danny Fortson was that person, like, that I first remember. Because, like I said, I was a kid. I remember Nick the Quick and T-Nail and
Nick the Quick was my third. It was between King or Nick the Quick.
And C Blunt, all of them. Shout out to them that, you know, come on the program. Y'all know I love y'all. You know, y'all started this UC basketball stuff. But for me, like, being able to actually remember, it was Danny Fortson and Damon Flint and Art Long, you know, that group that made it to the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
Probably should have won a national championship. Helicopter was on that team too. Just deep. Ruben Patterson. Yeah.
It was a tough.
Bobby Brannon.
That was hard for me. College football was really hard, man. Because like I said, I could have said a whole bunch of.
Wait, y'all ain't asked me out, man.
I wanted to say Peter Warwick, but
did you ain't say college football, did you?
I did.
No, him.
I did.
Wait.
No, I asked him.
No, I said Dion. He didn't ask me about women. I don't think women's NBA.
We didn't ask you about WNBA.
Yeah.
WNBA. He gonna say Caitlin Clark.
Hell no.
All right.
No. WNBA is hard for me because I watched it in the beginning. Yeah. So I'm gonna say Cynthia Cooper.
Coop won what, 4 straight out the gate?
Yeah. She's very dominant guard.
I mean,
it was between her and Don Staley, but Don Staley didn't win any.
Yeah, I wish I was old enough to remember Cheryl Miller, because they said she would have put all of them.
She's the GOAT. Yeah, they said she's the GOAT. That story about Reggie Miller said, I had a 40-point game, and Dad said, hey, what'd you have? I had 100.
Right.
Reggie said he used to beat him, and everybody else on the block in basketball. Mm-hmm. Still couldn't beat it.
And then my college, you said Shamika Holswell, didn't you?
Yep.
My college is actually gonna be a newer girl. Asia, I love Diana in college.
You better not say Asia Reese. I'm gonna hit you with your eye.
No,
I thought you was about to say Asia Reese.
Asia Wilson was very dominant in college. She's
dominant now.
She's dominant now. That lets you know how dominant she was.
Yeah, she got game for real.
Yeah, for real.
Definitely.
And I seen her knock down 7 straight shots and none of them touched the rim. I said, "Oh yeah, this girl work on her game."
Oh
it's
yeah,
real crazy.
So we touched on a few different things. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this episode because we do have some things that hopefully, knock on wood, materialize for the end of the year. Get back in the studio for some guests that may be coming in town. So don't want to throw all that out there, but we do appreciate, as usual, everybody tuning in. If you can't catch the live feed, remember all of our episodes will be uploaded on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So the plague is there. There's no excuse to miss anywhere. You can catch us audio, and of course, video will be uploaded onto YouTube and Facebook as well. So Gentlemen, anything you want to say before we exit this episode?
Want me to end it on a positive? Little, you want me to be the positive black man right now?
You should.
I would like that. Yeah.
All right. So I'll go ahead and end the show. Don't be afraid to talk about your fears and your ambitions. The reason you should not be afraid because you never know when your opportunity is gonna knock at your door and you letting it walk past.
For sure.
Big John.
Just be who you are, man. A lot of people now, man, are so confused and don't want to just show who they are because they're afraid of what somebody gonna say or how the public's gonna view them. Just be who you are, man. Just be who you are. Continue to be you. As long as you're not hurting nobody, hurting yourself, and being positive and moving forward. Just be yourself.
All I'm gonna say is, dudes, don't end up being 60 years old with a gut and a wife beater petting on a pit bull, sitting next to you by yourself. Women, don't become one of them crazy cat ladies because you constantly looking to find something wrong with somebody or because of what your girl said who ain't got no man either. If you like somebody, open up, be yourself, be truthful, don't be afraid to have fun because you only live once.
There you go.
That went somewhere left.
Yeah. It started off a little rocky. I thought it was positive.
Yeah, it started a little rocky. I got a little low.
It is positive to me. I'm advising people not to.
No, we ain't saying that. We're not saying it wasn't positive. It just started off like it was getting ready to go. Like we get ready to talk about Trailer Park Dan and Trailer Park Teresa. That's where we thought it was going.
You know I'm blunt, so I'm just being honest. I want people to not end up by themselves because they caught up on themselves. So
for sure,
that's what it is.
Well, right.
So check us out, people. We'll be back real soon. I don't know if we're doing an episode next week or doing our normal bi-weekly. We may check back in next week, so I'll try to do better about keeping that posted when we go outside the schedule. So as usual, appreciate everybody who tuned in, everybody who commented, everybody who go back and listen to it after the fact. We're signing out. We'll try and do it better next time.
Yes, sir.
Sure.